The Phillies are on the brink of elimination. This will be the last trending in the AM of the Major League Baseball season. Do the Phillies have a chance to help us celebrate a World Series on Monday when we come back on the air? We got that. We got the Eagles and Texans. Eagles with another win. We got all that coming up here in 30 seconds.
Holding gets around in front. Joel Embiid
and Philadelphia has it.
And a very good morning, everybody. Welcome to Trending in the AM right here on DSM Media. We're live. Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube. You know the drill. Like, share, retweet, follow on all the social media platforms, whichever ones you're watching on. If you want to get interactive with the show, the Facebook page or the YouTube page, that's the best place to do it. Do us a favor. Head over to the YouTube page, even if it's after the show, or if you're watching on replay, and hit the like and subscribe button over there. Got a huge promo running. The end of the World Series, Saturday, Sunday, whenever it is, if we get to 800 subscribers, your window's closing. We will give out a Bryce Harper World Series patch jersey. We're 123 away. Go over there, subscribe, and we'll give away a jersey. If we get to it by November 27th, we get to 1,000 Eagles tickets up for grabs for one of our subscribers. So head over to the DSM Media YouTube page. I am your host, Phil Stiefel, at Bearded Knowledge. I'm tired. I'm going to stumble on my words. Late night last night as the Phillies dropped Game 5 to fall behind 3-2 in the series, the exact score of last night's game. And we're on the brink of defeat. I'm joined by my main man, Jason Voorhees, back in the co-host chair today. And we've got lots to break down, lots to discuss. But just like the crowd, just like the pitchers, just like the team, I'm just dejected and down this morning. I just feel like the jazz, the juice is gone. I feel like it's over. There's still 2 games potentially to be played, Jason. And I feel like it's over. And I don't want to feel that way. I don't think I should feel that way. There's nothing that doesn't say that the Phillies can't make a miraculous comeback and win 2 straight games. But, Jason, I'm guessing and assuming you feel the same way as I do, that you're just...
That's how when I first jumped on here before we came on the show, I feel down.
Yeah.
I feel depressed. But the one thing I can say is that every single time that I have doubted this team, and that's been a lot this year because I've been negative. I have. And I doubt this team. But I've been better with it in this postseason because every single time that I've seen the backs to the wall. Now, I get it. This is the first time they're facing elimination in this playoffs because obviously they took two of two in a 3-game series against the Cardinals, and they basically, went 3-1, 4-1, and this is the first series that they're struggling with. But let's face it. On paper, the Astros are the better team.
Absolutely.
But I will give you a ray of hope because just back in 2019, the Astros were in the same situation, going back to Minute Maid Park with a 3-2 lead against the Nationals, mind you, and the Nationals won that World Series. So I could say there's recent history that shows that it can be done.
Well, that alone picked up my energy level about a 0.2% there. It did give me about 0.2% more hope there. Look, last night was exactly how I thought it would play out. Everybody, you got Kyle Schwarber after the no-hitter saying, I don't give a shit, comes right out, hits a home run. You know that's going to happen. I said it yesterday morning. Justin Verlander is a way better pitcher than his World Series record says. And I've talked about it nonstop. Team of destiny versus team of validation. You think Justin Verlander wasn't going to come, if you thought Justin Verlander wasn't going to come out and give 110% and try to change his narrative, then I don't know what you were thinking. And all these things played exactly how it could. And baseball is just like a lot of other sports. It's a game of inches. You had a great play by Trey Mancini down the first base line in the 8th inning. You got local Westchester kid Michael McCormick, huge catch on a potential JT double. And the Astros just were the better team last night because they are the better team. But, those little inches came into play last night.
I mean, you just said it. Baseball's a game of inches. It's also cruel.
Yeah, absolutely.
And because I witnessed last night an at-bat by Nick Castellanos that may have been his best at-bat in this entire season, and he didn't even get he didn't get a hit. He got an out, but it was the hardest hit ball that I probably saw him had in the playoffs. Sorry about my alarm.
Yeah, it's time to wake up, Jason.
But that's how baseball goes. It's like, he has his best at bat, and it just makes you wonder sometimes, like in these kind of series, is it like just not their time? Like it's those kind of things. Like this whole playoff series, we've been thinking, wow, every single thing that's happened, it's like, oh my God, this is a team of destiny.
Right.
But you've been pounding that drum, not to pump the brakes, but like, hold on a minute, folks. Yes, the Phillies may be a team of destiny, but as you keep saying, the Astros are that team trying to prove their legacy.
It's not just one or two players. It's Justin Verlander, one of the best of all time, never winning a World Series, being a bad World Series pitcher. It's Dusty Baker, 9th most all-time wins as a manager in the history of the game. The only one in the top 15 without a World Series title. You've got Jose Altuve. As much as I want to punch him in the face, I mean, he's been a damn good player, but he'll always have that cheating thing under his one World Series title. Same thing with Bregman. These guys have so many reasons to prove it. And real quick, before we get back to that, I want to get to Casey's comment here. I'm sweating whenever the relievers, but hold on, not that one. Sorry, wrong one. Still proud of them though. And this is something we talked about weeks ago, maybe in the wild card round or the second round, the division round, that expectations change. We didn't expect them to get this far, but they did get this far. So right now, in the moment, losing in the World Series isn't good enough. Now, if they lose game 6 or 7 and we don't win the title and Houston does, a month from now, I'll be able to objectively look back and be like, yes, this season was a success. But in the moment, it's not a success. Once you get there, you got to it's why the Houston Astros are a team of validating legacy, because they've gotten there so many times and haven't been able to get over the hump. Once you get there, you've got to validate that you belong, that you're just not a wild card team that got lucky. And so while I'm proud of them, KC, I want more. I expect more. And last night, Jason, I tweeted out last night, a lot of people agreed with me that not just the crowd vibe, but it just felt like the entire team was spent. When the bullpen guys come out, Alvarado, Dominguez, they just look like they don't have any juice left. When, Nola was pitching yesterday or 2 days ago, by the 4th, 5th inning, he just looked exhausted. This is the first time almost anybody on this team has pitched in a World Series or played in a World Series. There's very few guys that have experienced this deep late in the season. They just look tired. The energy level just doesn't seem to be there anymore. Do you see that? Do you get that feeling that they're just toast at this point? And I don't mean that in a win-loss situation. I mean that in they're being held together by duct tape energy level at this point.
I think you're making an extremely valid point. I remember back when the Phillies got no hit by the Mets, but that was a regular season game, and that was months and months and months ago. And you saw how that team responded the day after that. They came out and they put up like a crooked number. When you get no hit in a World Series game, and this was only the second no-hitter of all time. Now, I get it. It was a multiple-player no-hitter, but let's face it. That starting pitcher, he may be one of the best pitchers in baseball, and Absolutely. He's the third pitcher, like Christian Javier. So that guy, to throw that kind of a game in that situation when you're down to 2-1, I think obviously that sucked. all the momentum out of this team. And listen, like I said, it's still possible that they could come back, but I agree. I think their emotional level from being so like pumped up through this entire postseason and how they've played in front of the home team. Let's face it, once it comes down to that point where it's getting to the end, it's harder and harder. And you do start to press. Like, I know we've been saying, wow, this team is loose. This team is loose. But, dude, when you have Nick Castellanos, Rhys Hoskins, and JT Realmuto 0 for 25 in the last 2 games, and they're your heart of your lineup, you got problems.
Look, I mean, everybody, you nailed there. I mean, I tweeted out last night, everybody wants to bash on Nick Castellanos or Rhys Hoskins. Well, JT Realmuto, since he hit that, winning home run, I don't even know if he's made contact with a baseball anymore. I mean, the guy's just completely lost. He's swinging and missing at so many pitches. Kyle had texted me last night, good supporter of the show, that he was like, I forget what the number was, like I was 17 or I was 16 with 9 strikeouts since that home run. I mean, the guy's lost. Since he took that foul ball, he's taken first and foremost, JT has taken a beating behind the plate, but he's taken a couple really hard foul balls off the face. And I'm surprised. I'm surprised that I don't know what the concussion protocol rules are in baseball, but how he does not have a ringer in his head, I have no idea. But it's so I just want to remind people, it's not just Nick Castellanos or Rhys that are struggling. It's a lot of guys. You take Kyle Schwarber and Bryce Harper out of this lineup, we'd be getting no hit every night at this point.
And listen, I go back to game 4. A lot of people are still trashing Nola. But let's face it, you could have had Cy Young on the mound for the Phillies that game. They did. If your offense doesn't show up, you're not going to win. Yeah, you need good pitching. But I think overall in the World Series, our pitching has not been the issue. We outside of the game where we put up 7 runs, in that barrage of home runs. I mean, game 1 was kind of a microcosm. Like, we gave up 5 runs, but we kind of fought back. And it was that, Rocky Apollo type feel. But listen, if your main guys are not swinging the bats, you're having problems. And after all that, we still had a chance to win last night. I mean, listen, Kyle Schwarber comes up. Well, first of all, Brandon Marsh had a bad at bat. All Brandon Marsh has to do, you have runners at first and third. All he has to do is put contact on the ball and you score a run there. Absolutely. And he strikes out. Yeah. And then Kyle Schwarber hits that ball. If that's down the line and gets past Mancini, that's 2 runs. We go ahead. Yeah. So and then JT obviously in the 9th hits that ball in the corner. I mean, what a play. Yeah. And then Harper still gets on base, and then Castellanos obviously, like I said, you had opportunities.
They had opportunities, but that whole energy level thing, you look at it like when Alvarado comes in and then Dominguez comes in, they look like they're spent. On the flip side of it, I mean, we talk about how Javier's their 3rd or 4th pitcher that they used as a starter. Their bullpen is just arm after arm after arm. We've got 2 guys. You got to use your highest leverage guy in the 5th inning sometimes in Alvarado, which is another whole conversation for another whole day. But it's like, Brogdon, he's pitched well the last couple times he's come in there. Zach Eflin even has pitched well the last couple times. But it's not the same thing as what the Astros have. And when you're a hitter and you're an Astros hitter and you're going in there and you're like, all right, well, they already used Alvarado, and so we have a chance if they were behind. When you're a Phillies hitter and you're behind 3-2 or 3-1 or 4-2 or whatever it would be at any specific point, and they go to their pen, you're like, you have to press, like you said, a little bit, because you're like, shit, one opportunity might be the only chance you get to score 1 run, let alone 2 or 3, because if one of the guys isn't going to work, you got the next, and then you got the next, and then you got the next. They literally are 7. They got 6 or 7 guys in their bullpen that could be an 8th or 9th inning pitcher on any team in baseball right now. That's how deep they are. Their Connor Brogdon could be our closer. Their Nick Nelson could be our Alvarado. That's how deep they are. It's insane. And that's something that for the Phillies, and I got into it with somebody and we started chatting privately. that they're working on it, developing that farm system better, and they're working on fixing that. Because Presley came in as a free agent, I believe, but most of the Astros starters and pen guys are all developed throughout their system.
Phil, you're nailing it, and I'm not gonna lie. Like, you have to give credit where credit is due.
Exactly.
Dude, I totally underestimated how good the Astros pitching is. Like, I know coming into the series, everyone was like, "Oh, Astros have the edge," but
Right.
I underestimated how good they are. Dude, they are sickening. Like, it's ridiculous. Like you said, when you can bring guys in, like just guy after guy that's throwing 100 miles an hour and has these balls that move, like drop like 5 inches in the strike zone. I mean, it's almost impossible to hit that. And then, by the way, the two guys that they had starting, Valdez and Javier, who made us look stupid. I mean, listen.
Just think about it. You want to hear? Let me cut you off because there's a funny thing that I just thought of. You know who got fired from the Astros or got cut from the Astros a few years ago? That basically built this team, just like he basically built the 08 team and then got fired before it. Ed Wade, coincidentally, has built 2 winning franchises, but not been there for the big moment. A lot of these guys that are pitching now for the Astros, he brought in and drafted and developed, 3, 4, 5 years ago. We got to give a round of applause. Ed Wade, he's much better than people give him credit for.
He's definitely a genius. I think Ed Wade is probably one of the most underrated GMs, and I blasted that guy.
we all blasted that guy.
I blasted Amaro too. I blasted them all. But like I said, dude, it does kind of put perspective on it that even though we are 3-2, anything is pot, and that's why I brought up that Nationals, win in 19, because the Astros were the better team in that series too, way better. I mean, obviously Nationals had Strasburg and Scherzer, but we do have Wheeler going now. Like I said, Wheeler's the X factor.
The X factor.
If Wheeler can come out and be Wheeler that had the 6 innings of no-run ball in the earlier series, the division series, we have a shot, because then you got Ranger. Listen, Game 7's an all-hands-on-deck game. So Nola could pitching. Not that I want him
I think Nola would pitch in Game 7, actually. So let's talk about that. So Zach Wheeler, to get to Game 7, because this is literally, like I said in the open, this is the last Trend in the AM. The next time Trend in the AM comes live, we'll either be celebrating a World Series victory, or we'll be talking about the what-ifs, the almost. This is it. You know what I mean? To get to Game 7 Sunday, Zach Wheeler has to pitch 6 or 7 innings. He has to get into the 7th inning, no matter what. Whether he pitches 6 1/3, 6 and a batter, 6 2/3, 7 full. We cannot have Zach Wheeler going 4 innings and expect to win Game 6 whatsoever. But Jason, I don't think he can. I think he's hurt.
I think he's hurt. I think he's hurt.
I think his knee, his arm, a little bit of everything. I would not be surprised that within a week or 2 of the season ending, that he's under the knife, getting something cleaned up, and they're going to say they've been duct taping him together for a month just to get through the postseason.
Hey, and if that's the case, I mean, kudos, because we wouldn't be here. Exactly. Listen, dude, it's been a great run. Like, we have, even if we don't win, and they always put out these DVDs, I'll be buying that, and I'll be watching it and remembering those memories. Like,
people still buy DVDs?
Huh?
People still buy DVDs?
I do.
I don't even have a DVD player.
But it's just insane to think, like, the last time we were in this situation was in 2009, and we, obviously we lost that in 6 games to the Yankees. But I think I agree with you. I'm concerned about Wheeler, but at this point, it's like we've actually had better success in our bullpen games. I mean, last night, Noah Syndergaard actually was Noah Syndergaard did a great job. Obviously, it was that one hanging pitch. He almost got through the 11 batters.
That's where it's a game of inches, because the 2 pitches before that
were just out of the strike zone.
But they were so close. Like, you could tell he tried to swing at those pitches. He wanted to swing at those pitches.
Yeah.
And it took every ounce of energy for him to check swing like inches. An inch further on one of those check swings, that's a called third strike, and he's out of that. Not a called third strike, a check swing strike. It's a game of inches. And then he makes one bad pitch. I said, I tweeted as soon as he came out after the third inning, I'm like, I'm throwing him out there in the fourth. He's dominating way too well. And it backfired.
I'll tell you what. If the Astros do win, this Jeremy Pena is going to get MVP. I mean, he's been phenomenal. His defense. I listen. I'm not going to rate. He's an Astro. I can't stand the Astros, but I got to give credit. He's a rookie. I mean, he's doing this as a rookie. That's pretty impressive. I was hoping when he hit the home run and they said he was the first shortstop to have a home run in the World Series, rookie. Right. I was hoping Stott would come up and do it and be the second. But unfortunately, it didn't happen.
Yeah, so Zach Wheeler has to go 6-7 tomorrow night. How can the Phillies get out of their offensive rut with, what's his name, Frambler Valdez or Frambler Sanchez or whatever his name is, the cheater? Because I'm still not over the fact that he was obviously doctoring baseballs up the other night in Game 2. But again, whether he was doctoring balls up or not, just like Christian Javier, the guy's a filthy, filthy pitcher. And I have probably equally as much doubt that the Phillies can make contact. I mean, again, they've got to know that it's going to be a struggle up there on Saturday night.
So, in my opinion, the only way that you can have success against these kind of guys is you got to hope and pray that they don't have their stuff. Because let's face it, even great pitchers occasionally don't have their great stuff.
Right.
And if they start missing their locations, that's when you get the hits. Or if they have bad pitch selection. Because I go back to the Aaron Nola sequence. Aaron Nola, I don't think pitched that bad in that game. He was actually cruising.
Yep.
If you thought about it, and John Smoltz, as much as we've criticized him, and a lot of people have bashed John Smoltz, he still knows the game. Dude, he was a pitcher. He knows the game.
Hall of Fame pitcher,
He called pitches and called sequences before they happen, almost like the quarterback, Tony Romo.
Right.
It reminds me of that. And he said it. He said, I don't know why that JT, because listen, if you're going to criticize Nola, you have to give some criticism to JT. He's calling the game.
Yeah.
He didn't know why they went back to the inside pitch when the guy couldn't hit the outside thing. And when you're hearing a guy like Smoltz say that to me, there's credence there.
I've left that on the back burner. He's the best defensive catcher in baseball. Obviously, he throws everybody out, but he hasn't called a great game in the World Series. His pitch selection, JT, what signals he's sending have been off at times. In my opinion, I think you're spot on with that. Because,
that's where I'm going with this. Where I'm going is you have to hope that the Astros have that kind of bad pitch selection, and Harper gets a hold of one that's that he's going up there looking for. That's when these guys are successful. When you see the Phillies offense put up 7 runs in that game, they knew what that guy was throwing. They knew exactly what was coming because of their scouting. They're going to have to do the same thing. They're going to have to be more patient. You can't go up there swinging at the first pitch every time. Yes, it works when it's the right time, but Castellanos, and that's why I was proud of Castellanos in that one at bat that I was talking about, because he actually took it. But you saw he wanted to swing. He went like this, and then he stopped. Right. Because he's so used to going up there and swinging at the first pitch, but he almost actually had a hit in that at bat that could have, I don't know if they score a run there, but it's just a shame that you really have to go up there and hope that the Phillies bats. Obviously, I think it's very important to strike first, because every team that scored the first run no, it's not true. Game 1. Yeah, the Astros scored and we won. But I think Game 2, obviously, Astros scored. We lost. Game 3 is the game we had the 7 runs.
Just say the Phillies are able to come out and win Game 6. You already hinted at it. What would you do game 7?
Well, obviously, they already said that Ranger will start that game, but it's definitely all hands on deck. And at that point, I'm going I hate analytics, but I'm going to the matchups. You have to. And
Ranger Suarez might only get 3 innings, in my opinion.
Which is fine.
I might throw 1 inning of Aaron Nola. I might throw 1 inning of Noah Syndergaard.
They're all going to be available. The only guy, listen, Connor Brogdon is a guy that I've crushed all year.
Connor Brogdon's a guy that has the stuff. He just has to figure it out up here.
Yeah.
Connor Brogdon's got the stuff to be a late inning reliever.
My God.
He just got to figure it out up here. And maybe this is the moment for him.
Dude, that period
next year, he's the guy that we can rely on next year.
He had 5 strikeouts in a row.
Yeah.
After he did hang a breaking ball to Alvarez, and it wasn't Alvarez, it was the other guy, the tall, lanky guy.
Right.
I always forget Tucker.
I'm terrible with names.
He hung one and the guy hooked it, but other than that pitch, he was spot on that in his 2 innings. 5 strikeouts and 6 at bats. Can't do much better than that.
Yeah, I don't know. I wish there was a way that I could feel like I know Saturday I'm going to be watching the game, going to be at a Halloween party. I'm just going to be focused on the game the whole time. But I just feel like that they need to do something quickly and early. Whether it's another Kyle Schwarber coming out and just swinging at the first pitch and trying to put it over the fence, and set the tone early.
And I know that, not to cut you off, but I know Topper is like regimented. He does things his way, and he's
right.
And we've criticized him when we question his moves. But I'm almost wondering if this is the time where Topper says, you know what, maybe I need to switch something up. I'm not saying like drastic, like change the whole lineup, but maybe move Harper up into the 3-hole. I don't know. I'm just saying, like,
JT is struggling bad right now.
Shock the system. I've used that term, shock the system. I know John Smoltz uses it. I think he stole it from me. He watches Trending.
Of course.
But they got to do something to, like, kind of, when something.
So the problem, I get what you're saying, and I get it, and I'm not one for that. I don't normally agree to that. Like, people say, "Oh, bench Rhys Hoskins in Game 3 of the World
Series." I'm not saying that.
Yeah, no, I know. But and that's extreme. But so based off of what you're saying, shock the system kind of thing with the lineup, rearrange it a little bit. But if you look up and down the lineup, outside of moving Harper up 1 and Real Muto down 1, nobody's really hitting the ball consistently well right now. Stott doesn't even have a hit in the World Series yet. So it's not like there's guys that, someone at the bottom of the lineup that you can move up. If you move Harper up to 3, JT's still struggling in the 4-hole, let alone the 3-hole.
What if you moved? Okay, what if you did? What if this was the time that you said to Schwarber, "I'm putting you in the 3 or 4-hole," because you know that he has that
leadoff. Because none of them, nobody's hitting good enough to hit in the leadoff spot.
What if you put Stott? I know, I'm crazy.
I know what you're trying to. And if there was somebody in the bottom of the order hitting 320 or 350 in the World Series, I'd be like, you're spot on. But nobody's. Let's be honest. Even Harper himself. He's only hitting 250 in the World Series. It's not like he's red hot at this point.
I guess I'm just looking at it like this whole series has been almost games of innings, like crooked innings that have actually won the game, each game. Like, and I look at it like if your offense is not putting up runs and you know that the home run is your only weapon.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm grasping at.
I'm going to tell you. I just brought up the box score from the from Game 2, the last Rambler Valdez game, just to kind of see maybe somebody got multiple. Nobody got more than 1 hit against him. Here's the scary thought: he's going to go back to Vierling and Sosa because he went to Vierling and Sosa in Game 2.
No, I don't want. See, that was where I disagreed.
I disagreed with it as well, and I know Marsh is struggling, but you can't go back to Vierling. And Sosa
Marsh is struggling, but he still has pop. Marsh
and Stott at least sees pitches. And
I
that's
don't
where
know.
that's where Topper is overly stubborn because you don't want him
Well,
going back to it, but that's what he does.
this is a
And that's what he-
lefty. This is a lefty on righty. This is the time where you need Hoskins and Real Muto and Castellanos to reset. Because I know that Framber was dominant against everybody, but it's generally righties have more success than lefties. And I don't know. I would have to look at his splits, but the majority of the time it's that way. I know sometimes you have those outliers where it's actually better against the opposite way, but you have to hope that maybe, their bat speed could pick up because it's a lefty and you're seeing the ball better. I don't know. I don't know, dude. I'm just you're asking me how we can win. I just think
there's the thing. Do they win game 6? Do they make it to 7? Do they win game 7? Play it out for me.
I listen, my brain is telling me that they're cooked. They're gonna lose tomorrow. But I've doubted this team every single time and they've bounced back. And my heart is telling me that they have one more in them. Like I feel like this. I feel like they're going to win Game 6. I do. I don't know why, because the last two games have been,
Yeah, I mean, I'm the same way. My brain is saying no, they don't win Game 6. My brain is telling me that we come out, maybe we jump all over Frambler, which getting like 2 or 3 runs would be jumping all over him. Zach Wheeler pitches okay, but the bullpen blows the game. That's just in my mind. That's what my brain is telling me. My heart is telling me that they make it to Game 7, and I called it. I said Ranger Suarez was going to win the MVP. If he comes out, he pitched 1 game in relief, and he wins 2 other games as a starter. You got to give him the MVP of the World Series, and that's what my heart's telling me. I bet the Phillies to win in 7. That's just what my heart's telling me. I just don't have the confidence. And I feel like that's why the juice in the ballpark, I think the players even don't believe that they can win this series. I really do. I think they know that they're cooked. I think they see it. I think they see the writing on the wall. And I think the negative energy is there. They don't seem as loose and excited as they did a few days ago. I just think the spark is gone.
But that's the time when they can get back to being loose, because now there's nothing to lose. Like you can go up there and just say, and I'm not saying that you should do that and say, well, we didn't expect to be here, because they did expect. They believed in themselves, or they wouldn't be where they're at.
Well, the Pirates probably thought they were going to make it to the World Series at the start of the season. Everybody thinks they're going to make the World Series at the start of the season.
But I guess where I'm going with it is I feel like now you can be loose, because what is there to lose?
Yeah.
Like,
I guess that, hey, if we lose, we still made it to the World Series. If we win, we're beating the best team in baseball. They can play a little freer and a little looser maybe. Maybe that is a little thread of hope there for the Phillies.
I mean, the pressure will be on the Astros. It's always on the team that's ready to clinch.
And it's always on the Astros because, again, the Phillies are a destiny. The Astros are validating their legacy. If they lose, they're just losing again for the how many time without cheating. So
and if you think in the back of their mind, they're not thinking, oh, my God,
absolutely,
we should have had this series in the bank. They lost Game 1. They had Game 1. It would be over. So they know that this Phillies team is resilient. They're not stupid.
Right.
They know that. And Phillies have not been bad. Like we talked about the home field advantage, but the Phillies have been good away in the postseason too, or they wouldn't be where they're at.
Absolutely.
They were away both games in St. Louis.
Exactly.
So
started on the road in Atlanta too, as well. All right, we're going to take a quick pause in the action. Today's show is brought to you by Gents Barber Lounge. Check out one of the 2 great locations in Fishtown and Old City and book your appointment today. They own the craft, and it shows. Rated the #1 barbershop on Yelp in the Philadelphia area. Able to handle any style cut, adult or kid. Check them out right here. And we're back here trending in the AM on DSM Media. Again, live on all social media platforms. Make sure you like, share, retweet, follow on all of them. Make sure you head over to our YouTube page, hit the like and the subscribe button there. We got lots of great giveaways happening for different thresholds that we reach subscriber count-wise. So make sure you head over to the YouTube page if you're watching this on replay or on any other social media platform and hit that subscribe button. Again, I'm Phil Stifle, your host. I got Jason Voorhees sitting in next to me this morning. We just wrap up talking Phillies. Again, we'll see Monday morning. Are we talking Phillies World Series champions? Are we talking what could have been? We also might be talking Philadelphia Union, MLS Cup champions. We'll see. I don't have Parcero coming on, so I'm not even going to try to talk Union. I'm just not going to try. I hope they win. Good luck to the Union on Saturday. I think their game is at 4 on Saturday, sometime in late afternoon. Good luck to them. But that's all I got on that, Jason.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I mean, I'm happy for Parcero. I'm happy for all the Union fans. Parcero is one of the, one of the most.
He grinds that Union work out there every single day.
Absolutely, I'm happy for him because.
All right, so last night we played another Houston team. Our Philadelphia Eagles played the Houston Texans on Thursday Night Football. First and foremost, again, they won last night, 29-17. I was close. I said 27-17. They missed that 2-point conversion. I hit that. Let me reiterate a conversation I had yesterday morning on this show. I hate Thursday night football. 4 days is not quick enough to turn around for NFL players for what they put their bodies through. There's a reason why home teams win more often than they lose on Thursday night football, no matter how bad they are. Reason why I said they were not covering the spread last night, the Eagles. They did not. Very tough for Thursday night football turnaround. I don't think they would ever do it. One more day might not make that much of a difference. It'd be tough competing with high school football. But I would move Thursday night to Friday night. Everybody's off on Saturdays anyway. Friday night football, Friday night lights. You can market it that way. Maybe you can even do it in some of the high school stadiums across the country that are really big. I think they should move Thursday night football to Friday nights.
Yeah, I think it's an awesome idea. I'd be all for it.
I don't know if one more day makes that much of a difference on the rest of the recovery.
The weekend.
But it's the weekend. It's one more day, and you see it, and you saw it last night. The Philadelphia Eagles, they won 29-17 against the Texans. But it was a close game. It was closer than the score says. You could tell the Eagles were a little flat last night. I know I was watching the Phillies game, but I was flipping. I was watching 5-minute stretches during commercials, and when there are different moments in the Phillies game, I had that Eagles game. A couple times I turned the Eagles game on just during a commercial, and then something was happening. I forgot to go back to the Phillies game for like 5 minutes. I was like, oh, shit, I got to get back to the Phillies game. They just looked a little flat, a little lethargic, a little sloppy. And it comes down to the Thursday night football thing, in my opinion. Traveling for Thursday night football is just super difficult. And I'm surprised, I don't know if there's any stats on this or not, but I wouldn't be surprised if more people get injured on Thursday night football. Maybe not career or anything like that, but the injuries probably creep up a little bit more on Thursday night football. Jason, I'm really against Thursday night football. I really don't like it at all.
I mean, I don't like it, and let's face it, obviously our Eagles were playing in this game, but like most of these games on Thursdays have been garbage.
For a very long time, too.
Like, not just this year, like years of like garbage football.
Exactly.
And, I think they do gotta switch it up because, Sunday night football has now become the better of the month, between Monday and Sunday night football. And then Thursday night is like you said. I think the Friday night idea is actually cool because
Friday night under the lights.
A lot of people are off on the weekend. Not everybody. You and I aren't off. We work retail, but a lot of people are off.
But then I don't even know where this idea came from. It literally popped up 2 minutes ago. Was like you could put yourself, go to like Texas and the big high school stadiums, or North Dakota. Yeah, and have like just like they go to Mexico or London. You could do these destination games and stuff like that. I think it's an exciting idea, and so I gotta block the spammers, the sex talk in the in the comments section. They've been on fire lately. I mean, literally coming in nonstop lately. We go through these spurts. I don't see them, and then all of a sudden I start seeing them for 3-4 days in a row. So last night, this whole short turnaround thing. First off, the defense. I mean, it's actually becoming a recurring thing. It's not just Thursday Night Football, but again, giving up rushing yards after rushing yards after big rush after big rush. Now, Dameon Pierce, Texans rookie running back, he's a young stud. I don't want to take anything away from him. Yes, Jordan Davis is out now for the next 4 to 6 weeks. Don't want to take anything away from. I don't want to give them an excuse, the Eagles defense. But there seems to be a recurring theme that we're struggling to stop the run. And we talk about how easy, like we might go 17-0 or 15-2 or go on this deep run. But that tough stretch before the season that I talked about, that now I'm thinking might be easy, you've got the Titans, the Packers, and the Colts back to back to back. Who are the running backs there? Jonathan Taylor, Derrick Henry, Aaron Jones. We've got an extended mini bye here this week. Jonathan Gannon's got to figure something out with this rush defense because you can't be giving up 150 yards rushing every single week. And I don't know the answer to why they're giving up these runs like this, but something's got to give here.
Oh, I mean, absolutely. I think we talk about the Eagles' strengths. It's supposed to be, obviously, we know the offensive line and our running game, and then stopping the run. But unfortunately, Jordan Davis was a big part of that. Now, like you said, not making an excuse, you have to come up with a way and make adjustments. That's your job as the coach. That's Jonathan Gannon's job to make sure that this team finds a way to stop the run. Now, as you said, this Dameon Pierce kid, I mean, he's going to be good. He's obviously the best.
He's not going to be good. He is good. He's already good.
He's the best rookie out of the class by far. And he wasn't even talked about when the draft, he wasn't like, oh my God, this guy's going to be a stud. And he's become that guy.
Absolutely.
I think that you're right, though. If they don't figure out how to stop the run, they're going to continue to leak oil and struggle on defense.
I agree 110%. And it's funny because, like, last night you go into that game, the Texans have one or two-ish weapons. They have Dameon Pierce. We all knew he was going to be a focal point. You got Brandon Cooks. Who was out for personal reasons because he was pissed he wasn't traded. Their next best wide receiver, Nico Collins, was hurt. And you had Davis Mills, who I talked about it yesterday morning. Davis Mills is basically just a placeholder there. Just like Lovie Smith is just a placeholder. They're just trying to get through this season and then figure out where they're going to turn the corner with this team. Davis Mills is not the future of this team. Lovie Smith has got a 2-3 year window as the coach there just to get them through this dark post Deshaun Watson era. And even without your two best wide receivers, you could stack the box. You could put 8 up. You saw, last week that the Titans, they only threw the ball 10 times against the Texans. And you knew what you're getting defensively and offensively from this Texans team. But yet it was 14-14, 17-14. It was a close game the entire time. And it concerned, they still got Chauncey Gardner-Johnson had a pick, and, Bradbury had a late pick on an awful, I don't know if you saw Bradbury's end of the game pick. It was just how Davis Mills made, it's not like it was his first start in the NFL. He's got a dozen starts under his belt now. That was a god-awful interception he threw there. How they let this team keep it competitive. Honestly, I just want to make the Thursday Night Football excuse for them. I can't. I shouldn't. But I feel like that's the only reason why I can think in my head that we didn't win and beat this team 40-0. I don't know what other direction to go in, at least on the defensive side of the ball for the Eagles. Because I got some good and negative points on the offense, though.
Yeah, I think, I've used the term trap games, and I don't know if this was necessary.
I used the term letdown yesterday.
A trap game, but yes, I think, you were spot on that this is a game that everyone was thinking and let's face it, they still won by what, 11 points?
12. Yeah,
12.
29-17. Yeah.
So they won by double digits, but it wasn't the blowout that a lot of people were assuming it was going to be.
It was a 21-17 game late into the fourth quarter. They scored their last touchdown. The Eagles scored. I'm bringing up I had the box score up. There was 5 minutes into the fourth quarter when they scored their last touchdown. So, late into the game, it was a one-score game. Late into it, and that's not good.
No, it's not. But once again, we're 8-0. It's hard to find. Obviously, that's what we do. We always are.
I'm going to find another negative here because I've got another negative, Jason, and it's something we've talked about in the offseason with George when George brought the conversation up. I've talked about it already a few times. Is the offensive line not as good as we think it is? Yes, I know Lane Johnson, one of the greatest of all time. Jason Kelsey, one of the best centers of all time. But as a whole unit, 3 more sacks against Jalen Hurts. He was pressured a bunch of times. Was it 4? I thought it was 3. But anyway, a whole bunch of sacks on Jalen Hurts. A whole bunch of times he getting hit. This offensive line shows some cracks here and there. And the Houston Texans should not be getting multiple. I mean, I don't know when the last time Jalen Hurts fumbled the football, but he fumbled and lost it last night. He actually fumbled twice. They got it back once. The offensive line still concerned. There's some kind of a chemistry issue, I think, on the offensive line. I don't know what it is. Maybe they're not practicing because they give the veterans so many days off during the week of practice. Maybe there's some chemistry. They still do great on the run blocking. Obviously, Miles Sanders had another great game. He probably would have had 100 yards rushing, but late in the game, the last drive, he got stopped for a 5-yard loss. So that kept him from a 100-yard game last night. But there's some chemistry issues on the pass blocking. And Jalen Hurts' legs make them look a little bit better than they are, I think, in my opinion.
It's a good argument, Phil. I mean, I know it's not the
popular choice.
It's not popular.
George brought it up in the before the season started. Does the offensive line make Jalen Hurts look better than he is? And I countered with, does Jalen Hurts' ability to avoid pressure make them look better? And it was an interesting conversation. And I think it can go both ways. And I think there's a little bit on both sides that make that, that there's some truth there. But again, last night, look, we now, again, just like the Phillies, expectations change. We talked about before this Eagles season, 11-6, 12-5, 10-7, maybe win the division, make the playoffs, maybe win a game, see how far we can go, see what happens. Well, we're 8-0 now. Expectations have changed. We are no longer the third or fourth best team in the NFC. We are the class of the NFC. So now the expectations are that we need to dominate and get to the Super Bowl. At this point, being 8-0, if we do not make the Super Bowl, I'm going to find a disappointment in this season. So how do we get there? We got to fix these issues. Issue 1, learn how to stop the run. Issue 2, pass protection on Jalen Hurts. He can't get better in the pocket if he's always dancing for his life.
Yeah, I mean, you got to do a better job. Listen, I think they have a lot. We've kind of focused on some negatives. I think you got to. I've been wrong about Miles Sanders. I have totally been wrong about Miles Sanders. Miles Sanders, to me, has just come out with this chip on his shoulder, and he is running the ball better than I've ever seen him run as an Eagle. Obviously, I watched him at Penn State, but he is running. He's hitting his holes with quickness, and he's not doing as much dancing as he used to do. He's doing a lot more what he should be doing. And the results are spectacular. As you said,
he's on pace for, if he played a full 17 games, he's on pace for almost 1,500 yards rushing.
Yeah, I mean,
that's
100 yards. He scored another touchdown last year. What? He didn't have a touchdown last year.
He's got 6 touchdowns on the season already. 656 yards rushing. He's averaging 5 yards a carry, 82 yards a game.
Gotta love it.
He's on pace for almost 1,500 yards. He is every so the start of the season, everybody wanted Kareem Hunt or this guy or that guy.
I did.
Yeah, I know you did. I know. Everybody did. Not me, but everybody did. And he had a chip on his shoulder. Now, at the trade deadline, everyone's like, oh, go make this trade or that trade. And guess what he does? After the trade deadline, comes out with a chip on his shoulder again. I love it. I was going to go different direction with the positives. A different guy last night. Another guy, a different guy, the third different guy to have 100-plus yards receiving in a game. In Dallas Goedert. It's like you stop Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown scores 3 touchdowns. You stop A.J. Brown, Dallas Goedert gets 9 catches for 100 yards and a touchdown. That, to me, if you can figure out how to pass protect Jalen Hurts better, Jalen Hurts and this offense could be putting up 35 to 40 points a game. They don't have to get, start struggling in second half. It was great to see them score in the fourth quarter of the game last night. They don't do that very often. But if you could figure out that pass protection issue, Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown, Dallas Goedert, hell, even Quez Watkins had 2 catches last night. I don't even remember the last time I saw him on the field because he's been ghost lately. We were talking before the season, maybe he would have 500 yards receiving this year. He ain't even close to that. But, I mean, you think about it. We had this conversation, how many Eagles wide receivers would get to 1,000 yards or close. I mean, A.J. Brown's on pace for 1,500 plus. Dallas Goedert's on pace for almost 1,100. And I'm trying to do some math. Devontae Smith's right around just over 900 yards projections over the season. All of them projected at about 90 catches. That's scary. But just imagine how scary it could be, and Miles Sanders could be, if we could just pass protect a little bit better.
Yeah, and, I know we continue to rave about Jalen Hurts and how he's drastically improved this year and how he's kind of just elevated himself to a level that none of it, I don't want to say none of us, because I really did think he could be a star, but he's doing better than most people expected. Obviously, there's a lot of haters out there, but the thing that I love the most about Jalen Hurts, and I'm kind of going to use a Phillies reference here. When the Phillies won the NLCS and, the crowd was going nuts, who was the first person to tell the team, yo, pump the brakes, let's go and get back in the dugout? Bryce Harper. Well, that's Jalen Hurts. Last night, they asked Jalen Hurts, their question, isn't this awesome? You guys are 8-0. And basically he comes out and says, we have not accomplished anything yet.
It's true.
And you need that. That's leadership, dude. That is a guy that is laser focused and knows that this is nothing. You could go 16-0 and be not good because you didn't win a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So I think that leadership quality that Jalen Hurts is not talked about enough. Like, the guy is just.
Well, I've been talking about it since day one. I mean, it's not talked about enough by everybody else, but I've been talking about it since day one.
Well, that's what I mean.
I'm not saying day one that you can win with intangibles and average quarterback play. He's playing better than average quarterback play at this point. Let's be honest. And this is not me being a homer at all. You look at Jalen Hurts' stats right now. He's on pace. So it's so much easier if it was just a 16-game season because I could just double this number. But it's not. But he's got over 2,000 yards passing. So that means he's on pace for about 4,300 yards passing. He's on pace for 25 touchdowns, only 4 interceptions. And that doesn't count his 6 rushing touchdowns he has. So he's on pace he's got 18 touchdowns already. That puts him on pace for 37, 38 touchdowns combined, 4,200 yards. I want to say if he kept up at that pace, that would be an Eagles all-time passing record. I think Carson Wentz set the all-time record, but I think it was like 38 or 3,900 yards. It might have cracked 4,000. I know
Wentz cracked 4,000 with the practice squad guys. Remember, he was the first quarterback.
I don't know how far over 4,000 he got, but I'm guessing 4,200 plus would be the new Eagles passing record to a guy that nobody said could throw the football.
Yeah, but
so you're taking a guy that was an average quarterback with great intangibles. He's gotten better. Like I said, there was no way he was going to be equally as he wasn't going to be equal to last year. He was going to be better than last year. How much better was the question. He's gotten better, and he's still the great leader. It's unbelievable.
Well, no, and you're right. And all those stats are like awesome. But like I'm looking at the completion percent. He's almost completing 70% of his passes. No one, he can't throw. He's not accurate. And he has 107 quarterback rating, which right now I think leads the NFL.
Probably.
Second. I'd have to look it up. I don't have.
I'm still looking at that. You're probably looking at the same screen I am. 2 little spots before that, the 22 sacks. It still concerns me. And that's why I'm going back to, we've got a mini bye here this week. You got Washington coming to town on Monday Night Football next week. I don't know if Chase Young will be back yet. I know his practice window was activated a week or so ago. He may be back by next Monday. I'm not sure. But the Washington, all of a sudden, they bench Carson Wentz, and all of a sudden they're a good football team again. You can't let that defensive front of Washington, which even without Chase Young is really good, be getting after Jalen Hurts. There's 2 keys right now to this Eagles team. It's the offensive line, figuring out pass protection, and the defense, figuring out how to stop the run. All of a sudden, Brian Robinson and Antonio Gibson's a killer 1-2 punch the last 2 weeks in Washington. They're all of a sudden run the football and doing things, differently there. Just like change the quarterback, all of a sudden everything changes into a positive there in Washington. It's like, it's crazy. They got to figure those 2 things out. And if you figure those 2 things out, 15 wins, 16 wins is not out of the realm of possibility. But with that success also comes the expectation change that you better make the Super Bowl. Because if you do not make the Super Bowl with the way you're playing, that's going to be a problem. That's going to be a disappointment.
Yeah, I mean, expectations change, as you said.
I got a funny one.
We could say, back to the Phillies reference. I hate to keep doing it, but it's so true because it kind of goes across lines. Like we could say, well, the Phillies, nobody expected them to be there, but you're in the World Series and you're in Game 6, so it's like expectations definitely change. I mean,
they have to change.
If the Eagles are 12-0, and then all of a sudden, you're saying to yourself, well, if they lose in the first week of the playoffs, I mean, that to me is a disaster.
Yeah.
Like I
got a really, really funny thing that just popped in, and I don't want to forget about it. So I want to get this in here. Jalen Hurts is riding so high in Philadelphia right now. Could Jalen Hurts do any wrong? I mean, he's right there with Joel Embiid and Bryce Harper, and even going back the last 5 to 10 years, the most popular superstars in not just sports, in pop culture in Philadelphia right now. Am I right?
Yeah, I mean,
and he's showing up to Eagles games in Houston Astros gear, and we're still not booing him. He's cheering the Houston Astros to beat our Phillies in the World Series, and we still won't boo him. That is how big Jalen Hurts has become in our city. If that does not tell you what Jalen Hurts is doing is special and how he connects, because I talked about it last week with the Sixers team, or earlier this week with the Sixers team. They don't connect with me anymore. Like they don't. I can't find some kind of, even in the down moments, something to connect to. Jalen Hurts is connected to us so much. We haven't talked about the fact that he's rooting against the Phillies to win the World Series. Is that not insane?
Insane is an understatement. I mean,
exactly.
What a difference 2 years makes. I mean, 2 years ago, we had Carson Wentz, and we draft Jalen Hurts, or 3 years ago. And then, everyone's clowning and trashing Jalen Hurts, saying, this guy's nothing. We need to trade for Deshaun Watson. We need to trade for Russell Wilson. We need to make all these moves. And here we are. 8-0, baby. 8-0.
I know. Look,
like,
what's crazy?
Let's get excited. I mean, 8-0.
There's so much other stuff to talk about this week in sports, like the Sixers. They're terrible. James Harden. It's skated under the radar. James Harden is out for the next month. Joel Embiid, who knows what's going on? He's sick. He's going to miss games. He's missed a few. Who knows what's going on with him? Who cares? Look, I had this random crazy thing coming into my head. You get the whole thing. I don't know if you've seen what's going on in Brooklyn. They fired their head coach, Steve Nash, which I said it when he was hired. He was terrible. They suspended Kyrie Irving for making, sharing out some kind of anti-Semitic, video or tweet or something like that. He suspended without pay for a minimum of 5 games, which means they don't know when they're going to bring him back. In my mind, the first thing that pops into my head, go get Kevin Durant. They're going to blow it up there in Brooklyn. We joked about trading for him before. You might be able to get him cheap now. They got to reset in Brooklyn now. And yet I don't even want to talk about that because the Phillies are still in the World Series. They still have a chance. My heart tells me they still have a chance. And the Eagles are 8-0. I mean, this is the Sixers and the expectations have been put on hold. If the Phillies aren't in the World Series right now, the Sixers are under so much more of a microscope and the fire and ire of Philly sports fans right now. If it wasn't for the Phillies right now.
Oh yeah, I mean they're lucky.
You just lost James Harden for a month. Joel Embiid's only played like half the game so far this year.
You lost James Harden for a month, and it was like a blip on the radar screen.
It was just
Nobody
like
even talked about
it was a Woj bomb of all Woj bombs. I didn't even know it was coming. I watched some of the last game he played. I didn't know he was hurt. It just skirted under the radar there, and no one's talking about it. I'm telling you, the Nets are blowing it up. Go get Kevin Durant. You can get him for straight up for Tobias Harris right now. Just get it done, Daryl. Just get it done. Re-excite, reinvigorate this city after the Phillies World Series runs over, good or bad. You're back to the front page on Monday. No matter what, the Sixers are back on the back page. The conversation. There's no Eagles game this weekend to talk about. Sixers are back on the front page. Daryl Moore, you better do something. Look at Kevin Durant. Why not? Sure.
Hey, I'm all in.
Stranger things have happened in the NBA. All right. We're going to wrap up trending in the AM right there. Here on DSM Media, make sure you hit the like, the subscribe button on YouTube. If you're watching on replay, it still helps if you hit the like button and you drop those comments on the YouTube page. If you've been watching this show on other social media platforms, head over to the YouTube page. We'd greatly appreciate that. Hit the subscribe button. We've got some great prizes we're giving away based off of thresholds that we hit on the subscriber count. So go hit that subscribe button. We greatly appreciate it. Follow us on all platforms, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, all. I'm your host, Phil Stiefel. We got Jason Voorhees sitting next to me. Let's hope we're having a really positive Monday. I think no matter what happens this weekend, Monday's show will still be positive. It just might be a slightly depressed positive or a slightly over-the-top excited positive. We don't know. And one final thing. Let's go, Union. Let's bring that MLS Cup home. Let's set the tone for the Phillies Saturday night by winning the MLS Cup in the afternoon. So go Union, go Phillies, and ring that damn bell, guys.
Ring it.
And Philadelphia has it.